Should probably just check the mic again after what happened last week. Yeah, Twitch isn't working again. It's always Twitch. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back. We have round number 5 of Season 3 here at the Hungaroring. And Toya's our first driver. Toya and rather the two drivers out on the track early on to get themselves started in qualifying. The tyres are quite delicate here. It's not the C6, it's the C5, but still, the tyres do get rather delicate. But Toya, the first driver out. Oh, he's got a Ralph there. Him, Toya, and that's also Chazza there in the Aston Martin. Those three heading out onto the track early on. Gellert as well. We've also got Bert heading out of the pit lane. A few other drivers just getting themselves going early on. Polytromp's there. He's a little bit late for what he's wanting to do in the session. Obviously, he's got a qualifying ban, so he's just going to be going backwards down the pit straight, getting himself disqualified, and hoping he doesn't get too much in the way of Rav, who's just coming around the final corner. He should be fine. He's off the circuit by this point. Oh, Rav's going very wide there at the final corner. As he starts his qualifying lap. Polytromp is in the middle of the track, which isn't ideal, but he should be gone by now. Just... Oh, Rav's gone off again as Toya is taking us through the middle sector, through the chicane of turn 6 and 7 into 8, then to the right-hander of 9. It's a weird section, this one, at the Hungaroring. Then that curve there can be rather nasty if you hit it the wrong way. So he gets us through the last couple of corners. He's got turn 13 and 14 ahead of him. 2 consecutive hairpins takes us to the left, back on the panel, then to the right again. And this one's all about setting up the exit and the run through the last corner. He's going to get the DRS. Cross the line. It's 1:15.5. It's quite a long way off what I would have expected for this point in the session. Don't know what the track conditions are like. Let's find where you are in the list. There we are. Few drivers in the 16s. Toya's the only one in the 115 so far, but I'd expect we'll definitely be seeing faster than that by the end of the session. We've got R34 coming around the last corner. He's invalidated and will have to go again. So it's going to be Bert next across the line. Round the final corner he goes. It's a 16.8 to put him into P3. Charlotte next car to the line, coming around the last corner as well with the DRS active. Across the line she goes at 16.5 to go up into P2. I could have sworn normal laps are in the 13s. I might just be wrong. I'm going to check that real quick. No, it's 15, never mind. I'm just like completely wrong, ignore me. Completely and utterly ignore me. I'm just a long way out. Yeah, so a 15.5 from Toya is very solid for a first banker. He's actually going to go again as he heads down into turn 1. Bit of a slide on the exit, but he does keep the lap going. We've got Claudio heading back into the pit lane after his first run, evidently not happy with the pace of the lap. R34 coming around the last couple of corners, a bit sideways, as he goes through turn 13 and into the pit lane he comes. So R34 is going to be one of a few drivers not to set a first run here, as he did, and he came across the line, but he invalidated it. So, a few drivers coming across the line now. Most drivers heading back into the pit lane. We've got Willow just starting her first run of the session. Few other drivers are heading back into the pit lane. Let's check up on Toya. He's half a tenth up, coming through the first two sectors. He's gonna take the car all the way around turn 30. That's very sideways, and surely he's not improving anymore. He's going to come across the line in none. It's a big mistake. In the last couple of corners, he's fastest by a second at the moment. But only the top 6 have set lap times. Many drivers so far yet to do one. We've got Willow heading through the middle sector at this stage. Ados there is coming through as well. Expect probably to see him higher up in the field towards the end of the session. Here comes Willow through the first couple of sectors, 53.9 in the first 2. Don't know how that stacks up compared to the drivers ahead of her. Going to get it stopped for turn number 13. The long left-hander, back on the power she goes as soon as she can. You can see those cars in the background going through turn number 2. Across the line comes Willow with 15.8 to go into P2. 3/10 off what Toya was able to manage. Toya is the championship leader at this stage with quite a healthy advantage in the championship. So we've got Anne through sector 1. Rav seems to be right in front as of the Williams there of R34, who is on an outlap, so that won't impact him too much. Gellets as well on an out. Most of these drivers around, in fact, being on outlaps at this stage. N coming through with a 54.2 in the first couple of sectors. We'll put him a couple of tenths off what Willow was able to manage, probably in the high 16s once he comes across the line. As he flicks his way through the final couple of corners, back on the power, he's going to encounter the Ferrari, who should get out of the way in time. But N around the final corner, he's going to use the last little bit of battery that he's got in the tank to go into P3 with 116.2. And now we see Willow heading back to the pit lane. We've got the Alpine there. Sorry, that's Adas coming around the final corner. And across the line he goes. It's 15.1 to go fastest by almost half a second out of what Toya was able to manage. Chaz is just starting his second run of the session, currently sitting in P6 with 116.6. We've also got Mystic coming through the first couple of corners. There's cars absolutely everywhere there in that middle sector. Gellets has invalidated and backed off. R34 takes us now through turn 10 into 11 and heading across that middle sector split with a 53.9 would see him around roughly the top 3 on the pace that he's showing so far. There's also Claudio on a lap behind him. Oh, I'm not sure if he's going to finish this one. Here comes R34 across the line, using the last little bit of that battery to go into P3 with 115.6 to go within a tenth of Toya in front of him. Claudio with a 17.1. Does seem to have been struggling as of late. I don't think that was quite all he's got in that lap. He seemed to be on an awful lot of battery by the end of it. So let's hope for his sake that there's more time to be found in that lap. And taking us now down into turn number 2. We've also got Jadal there just coming around the last corner. He's invalidated his lap. Clifty Clive the same. Both coming back into the pit lane. We've got Toya in the last couple of corners preparing what will be his second run of the session. Charlotte's invalidated through the middle sector, most likely at the chicane. So, I think Aiden is generally the only driver on a lap right now. Well, Mystic seems to have just started one. But let's follow along with the Alpine driver who has, in fact, backed off his run. 2.5 tenths up through Sector 1. But he's backed off. And won't, at this stage, be improving. Toy takes us through Sector 1. He's 2 tenths up on his lap that saw him P1 for so long. Takes us through. Turn number 5 back on the power. Heading down into the chicane of 6 and 7. He's going to get it stopped. Taking as much of that inside curve as he can. But it's a little bit too much. Toy's invalidated that second run. He's not going to be improving upon his 1:15.5. And he really needed that lap. Because he's 4 tenths behind at the moment. 4.5 tenths behind at this stage. He really needed that second run. But he's not going to get it. And so it's all going to come down to the final run. But how much is he going to want to push, knowing he doesn't have a solid banker? Shart's 2.5 tenths up. Coming through the first 2 sectors. Going to get it stopped. Taking as much of that inside curve as she can manage. While keeping as little of her car on the grass. It's a bit of a slide as she takes second gear through turn 13. It's not quite ideal, but she's going to get it rotated through the final couple of corners with DRS as well as she crosses the line. It's an improvement, but it's no position gained as she slots in 1,000th behind Ayan in front. And who's backed off again by the looks of things. Just cannot string a lap together at this stage. But his teammate Adas heading down into turn number 1. Currently fastest by 4.5 tenths. It's going to try and extend that advantage as much as possible on this second run. To be able to fully commit once he gets to those last minutes where it all comes down. The accumulation of every lap in qualifying is those final runs. He's a tiny bit down through Sector 1, but that's not going to bother him too much, as he will hopefully have time to be gained later on. Very nice through turn number 5, getting it stopped for the chicane, flicking the car through, taking as much off the curb as he can without exceeding. And again, he just takes us into the S section with so much front-end grip in these modern Formula 1 cars. It's so stunning to watch, especially on this game. 2 tenths up as he heads down into the final sector, 12 into 13. It's right on the white line, but not beyond it. It's absolute pinpoint perfection as he takes us into the final corner. How much is he going to improve by as he crosses the line? It's only a tenth and a bit in the end. It's a 1:14.9. But it will do very nicely. Extends his advantage up to 6 tenths of a second. And he really does seem to be the favourite for pole at this stage. He just needs to keep it together with a nice lap at the end. He probably doesn't even need a nice lap at the end, but just needs to hope Toya can't find that much time. And Adas could be on for pole. Here comes Cody Clive across the line. It's a 1:17.4, and it's only good enough for 12th place at this stage. We've got Mystic just behind, starting his second, maybe third run of the session. With 3 minutes 40 to go, may well be his last flying lap. Won't have time to head back into the pit lane. Not after completing a run, at least. So he's going to take us through the first couple of corners. We've also got the Williams of R34, who is just heading back into the pit lane. And should have time to go again. Same for Adas coming into the pits with 3 minutes to go. Should be more than enough to get out in time. Willow heading through Sector 1. A bit under a tenth up on a... Oh, 10th down, sorry, on a personal best so far. Sliding all over the place through 4 into 5. Really won't help the red tyre temperature, which is bad enough as it is at this circuit, but especially with a couple of slides through 8 into turn 9. And goes wide right onto the curb, really cutting it close with the track limits as she exits the S section of turn 11, goes very wide. And Willow has invalidated her run. She was 3 tenths down anyway after the mistakes of the previous couple of corners. Is she going to have time to go again? I'm not so sure, as Mystic pops up into P5 with a 116.1. Into the pit lane comes Willow, and will she have time to go again? I think she just about will. With 2 minutes 20 until the checkered flag falls. It will be tighter than she'd like. I think Bert might have just had a spin, or if it's just enough to let other cars pass. That's Mystic, who's not currently on a lap. Who those two have just let past. Toy going out nice and early. He'll obviously want... He might well be fueled up for a backup lap in case he messes up his first one. Only 2 drivers left in the pit lane at this stage is Willow and Charlotte. Willow possibly unlikely to go out again. I don't know how long's left in the session because of the yellow flags. But at this stage I would say it is quite unlikely that Willow comes out again. I think Willow is not going to set another lap in this qualifying session, with how long's left until the checkered flag. Run the last corner goes Gellert, and Toya following him. The championship leader just starting what will be his final run of qualifying, barreling down into the first corner. Willow has come out of the pit lane and is there on the inside of turn 1. I don't know how long's left, whether she will get a lap in, currently sitting in P4, but Toy takes us down into turn number 2, taking as much off that outside curb as he can to maximise the track usage, going right the way up to the outside curb as well, taking us through 3 and into 4. It's the main high-speed section of the circuit. 2 tenths up on his personal best already, puts him in with a very narrow, but he's got a chance of beating that lap from Adas if he can hook up the rest of this lap like he did the first sector. 6 and 7, a lot nicer than on his previous couple of attempts. As he takes us through the S's, on board with the Red Bull driver, as he goes through turn 11, flat to the floor, right up to the outside curb. 4 tenths up now on his personal best. It's still not going to be enough, as at this stage he's got to find a bit more time in these final couple of couple of corners. I don't think Toy's quite going to have enough here, but he does have a shot. If he can get a good run out of this final corner, can he challenge? And that's his lap time. Across the line he goes. It's a big improvement, 4.5 tenths, but it's not enough. R34 is getting very sideways. I don't think he's going to be improving either. Willow's taking the flag. She's not going to be setting a further run in this session, and Adas is another 10th up on his personal best. Make that a 10th and a half as he comes through the middle sector, and he does definitely have time in this final sector. We saw him lose in those last few corners, and goes up into P3 with a 115.4. Round the last couple of corners comes Adas. He's going to cross the line to extend that pole margin. What's it going to be? It's a 14.7 with a 2.5 tenth improvement on that final run. Claudio pops up into P6 with a 116.1. And that is qualifying, as Bert was the last car to cross the line. I don't know what he did in the end, but it's pole for Adas. Tyre in second place, N in third. R34 takes 4th, with Willow 5th, Claudio 6th, Mystic 7th, Charlotte 8th, Chazza in 9th, Bert takes home 10th. Gellert, Clifty Clive, and Rav rounding off the qualifying with Spitfire and Polly Trump not taking part. It's a very convincing pole for Toya. Sorry, not a convincing pole for Toya, it's a convincing pole for Adas. Toya sitting 4 tenths behind. He seems to be on the back foot, but with a very strong margin over P3. Should be set to extend his championship lead. Well, of course he is, because actually second and third aren't racing today, so I'd hope he extends his championship lead. You never know, he might DNF. The Hungarian Grand Prix will be getting underway shortly. We should be getting going rather shortly. And we await the beginning of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Just a matter of seconds away from the formation lap. And the formation lap is underway. Let me see what tyres the drivers are on. They're almost all going for the mediums. The back two being out of position, going for the hards. But what's intriguing is what strategy people are going to go with. Why is the car so much louder all of a sudden? Oh, that's the thing, yeah, where the volume doesn't change until the second race. Let's just turn that back down. That can go back down to 2. This is going to be an interesting one. Because the thing with Hungary is a one-stop's possible. It's just not very good. Hungary's one of those tracks that's a borderline one-stop. And it'll be really interesting to see what people actually do with the strategy. Whether one's similar to an Austria and tracks like it. Canada is also one. A one-stop is possible. A one-stop is viable. But so is a two-stop. And it'll be really intriguing what people will do. I think a one-stop is theoretically better. But it's whether you can deliver on that theory. And it depends how hard you have to push, how hard you choose to push in the opening laps. That will determine what strategy you'll be able to do. What's going on at the back here? What's Jazza doing back here? Almost just had contact with McLaren. So we get lined up on the starting grid. Willow's missed a spot starting in P5. Rav's missed his spot down in 13th. We wait for the last cars to line up on the starting grid. And now it's just the lights. So we await the beginning of the Hungarian Grand Prix. 5 red lights. It's lights out. And away we go. And Toy does seem to have got a pretty good start there from P2, but he tucks in behind ADAS. Before they get to the first corner, Toy pulls out to the outside line. Can he make the move to get round the Alpine driver? He can't quite make it stick. There's a little bit of contact, but he gets the run. On the run down into turn number 2. Tyre on the outside again. This time, he gets that little bit further ahead. Tyre seems to be dancing his way around the outside. He slides. He hits ADAS, who maintains the lead from Tyre in P2. R34 in 3rd, having got past AN at the start. Claudio's up to 5th from his starting position of P6, getting past Willow in the opening few corners. The Aston Martins swap round and Polytrump up 4 to be in 11th place already after just a few corners. Good progress from the Haas driver. ADAS leads. Tyre in 2nd place. And he's looking to open up that gap early on. He's possibly pushing in these opening few laps to try and open the DRS gap and then go for the 2-stop if he needs. Because it is worth it just to open up that gap. Ooh, there's a big slide there in the background. I think that was for Gellert, who's losing a couple of positions. He's now side by side with Burt. Through the final couple of corners, he's going to have to give up that place. And Burt goes back up to P11. Closer to where he started. Damage limitation so far. The two Ferraris getting close to one another. As Claudio's having to defend the inside from Mystic. Is going to keep that place and stay in 6th position. Tyre at this stage is out of the DRS from ADAS, who's really pushing to get that gap. And it seems to be working as the gap currently sits at 1.2 seconds. And if ADAS can just run away, he's in a great position for... Oh, Tyre! The championship lead's gone off in turn number 4. He's hit the wall. Tyre's been pushing to try and stay close to ADAS. He's spun into the wall. And he's lost a bit of his front wing. Toya now down in 14th place. It's a disaster for the championship leader, who now locks up at turn 6. Is he going to have to pit early and commit to that 2-stop? And I think he might have to. He doesn't have... I don't know how bad the damage is to drive. It looks pretty bad. At the moment, he's right on the back of Clifty Clive. Will be looking to get past as soon as possible. Unless he is... And I don't know. Is that drivable? Is he going to stick with the damage and try to work his way through the field? Or is he going to commit to the 2-stop and try to just use the pace that he'll have? He's going to stay out, at least for the time being, as Adas takes us away with a 2-second lead now, following the untimely removal of his closest rival. With N and R34 looking to have a bit of a battle at this stage. The Alpine on the back of the Williams so far, not able to find a way past. And Toya's not able to find a way past Clifty Clive at this stage. Because of the damage, you can see how bad it is, especially in dirty air. It just goes straight on. And how strong is a consideration of going for a 2-stop at this stage? His bird's gone off in a very similar place, and I believe it's only a virtual. But we have the first caution off the race. Bert's gone off on the exit of 4, hitting the wall closer to 5. By the time we follow along with Rav, he's gone. But I think that's where he went out, on the left hand there, as Rav sped and got a drive-through penalty down in 14th. Is looking unlikely to be able to do much more in this race. But this VSC is an opportunity for Adas to recharge his battery, having burnt an awful lot of it in the opening laps. It's an opportunity for R34 to maybe get that gap down. And it is a chance for a mistake, for a drive-through, if he goes a little bit too early. Is Toya going to use this chance to come into the pit lane and change the wing? Yes, he is. Toya comes in from pretty much the back of the field. He's going to use the virtual safety car to his advantage to make the first of 2 pit stops in this race. As we go green again, Rav's got a second drive-through penalty as Charlotte and Polytrump go side by side through turn 1. Ayan has jumped out 34 on the restart, who might have got himself a drive-through. Yes, he has! R34 in second place has picked up a drive-through penalty for speeding on the VSC restart. And that promotes Willow to a net P3. Toya in the pit lane isn't actually going to gain that much from the VSC as it came, as it went in right as he came out, right as he went into the pit lane. So he didn't have much time gained, but it slightly negates the masses of time he'll lose from pitting on and changing the front wing. The mediums drop off very quickly at this circuit. So those hards will start gaining him time very soon as Polytrump goes past Charlotte, who's sliding all over the place on the exit of turn number 11. With a bit of damage to her right-hand side. Not quite sure where she would have picked that up, but that's definitely not going to help her race. Don't know if she's considering doing the same strategy as Toya and going for the early stop onto the 2, which I think, as a matter of fact, she might be doing. Yes, she is. Into the pit lane comes Charlotte to change that front wing, most likely. Go on to 1 or 2 sets of hards to carry her to the end of the race. It is a wing change for both Charlotte and Gellert. We'll see where they come out relative to Toya. Who's just coming through onto the... just past the pit lane now. Toya has gained quite a lot of time relative to where he would have been otherwise, as Mystic's gone off, and he's sliding around a little bit. He's down in P9 now on Polytrump from the back of the grid up to P7 in only a couple of laps. There's a... what the random... It's gonna rain. Is it gonna rain? That would be interesting. And there's rain inbound, or so I've been told. I didn't see the forecast. It looks pretty dry. It looks pretty sunny. And Adas isn't opening up that gap too much at this stage. Toy is there right on the back of his teammate. Will be looking for a quick way through. There he goes on the inside of turn number 11. And now he's going to go. Hunting down Clivety Clive, who's 19 seconds in front of him. Chazza and Claudio going side by side through turn 1 as the Aston Martin gets his way through on the inside line. And moves up into 5th place. Polytrump there in the background will be looking to capitalise as quickly as possible as Rav's gone off. Through turn number 13, that is. But does get back going. Look at the gaps opening up in this field. As Rav's into the pit lane as well. Toya is closing that gap down, undoubtedly. He's currently 35 seconds behind the race lead. And we'll come back in a little bit and see what that gap's at in a few laps' time. It's 35.2 down to 35.0 already. He's obviously 15 seconds behind pit window. But he has also changed his front wing and spun to the back of the field, so you never know. And at this stage, he's in the pit window of probably, he's roughly where Mystic's pit window would put him, as R34 comes into the pit lane to serve that drive-through penalty. And this will be a good indicator of where Toya is, because R34 was running in P3, having to serve this drive-through. It's less time than a pit stop. And, yeah, he comes out right where Clivety Clive is. So he's lost less than 20 seconds, has R34. He's lost more like 16. But having lost 16 seconds, he's a further 16 ahead of Toya. Which makes sense. He's about 32 seconds behind Ian and where R34 was. It's Polytrump now chasing Chazza up in front of him. Looking for an opportunity to make the move. It's now defending through 6 and 7. Polytrump goes right the way around the outside. And moves up into 4th place. Spitfire Boy looking to follow him through. Can't quite do so. There's a bit of contact between the two of them. As Chazza holds on to P5 on those mediums that are already a long way past their best. As Willow goes past Ian through the final couple of corners. Will just give Ian the DRS. We are approaching the 2-stop pit window at this stage. It's a bit early still. But lap 8, lap 9 is around the standard pit window for a 2-stop strategy. And I imagine a lot of drivers will be pitting into that window. And thinking about the dive into turn 1. He's not going to do so. He's going to wait a little bit longer. Try and get the run into turn 2. It's a big slide on the exit. That's the danger of how early the DRS is. You need to be ready for such a thing. As Chazza and Spitfire Boy going side by side through the first couple of corners. Both have DRS here. Spitfire Boy has to settle for that P6 for the time being. As Toya is now ahead of Claudio, who's made a pit stop. That's a great indication of where he is, but Rav's gone off, and the safety car's deployed. Someone's hit the wall again, or is that just the sound being stored in the barriers, or something stupid like that? The safety car's deployed now on lap 8. Surely it makes sense for everyone to commit to the 2-stop from here. It's in the 2-stop window. Rain in 10. Then it's just one hard tyre to take you to the rain. Right? As in they come. Rain in 10 minutes. The safety car will take up probably 5 minutes. Maybe even another medium, if the drivers have them. I imagine most will have selected the harder allocation. Yeah, hard tyre runners. Everyone's into the pit lane. They're all in. Everyone just needs to make sure not to speed. ADAS goes on to a hard. I think most drivers will be on the harder tyre allocation and won't have a medium available. So they're all going to go on to hards for the next probably 4 or 5 racing laps until the rain comes. Polytrump goes for the medium. N goes for a medium. Spitfire Boy goes for a medium. Mystic goes for a medium. Everyone that has mediums has gone on to them. Now that's the message I'm getting. Polytrump up into P4 from where he started, and he's lost no time to the leader. It's going very well for the Haas driver so far. from the back of the grid. This has hurt Toya so badly, as he's going to come out pretty much last. Yeah, he comes out the pits. P11. Everything he gained from that early stop, the undercut, and all the time he was gaining back, has been for nothing. Rain in 10 minutes. This will be very interesting. Because how's it going to go? How is this field going to change in the rain? This will be interesting. This will be very interesting. So once we go green, we've got 10 minutes, oh, less than 10 minutes, until we get some rain. Which I can't wait for. This is going to be fun. Who's going to go for the inters? Who's going to go for the inters first? Is it going to work? It's going to be great. The safety car should be in this lap. Which indeed it is. Safety car's in this lap. How long till rain? Probably only a couple of laps. So ADAS's gap that he's built up over this race so far has all come down. How aggressive will Willow be? And how good will the medium warm-up be compared to that of the hards? As we go racing again, and ADAS has got a very nice restart to set him up with a 7/10 advantage before they even get to the first corner. Here comes Ed, using those medium tyres. He's going to go and think about the move into turn 1 and send it to the inside and get that place. Moves up into second, using those medium tyres well, and is now going to try and chase after his teammate who's on those hards that may be struggling to get warmed up. Polytron around the outside now as well through turn 2 with a very nice move. His second very nice move of the race to sweep round up into P3, also on those medium tyres. And now, what can these two medium runners do into ADAS's advantage? He definitely has the pace upper hand, does the race leader, but look how much Ian's gaining with the tyre difference. And if the rain's only a few minutes away, will the hard tyre wear come into effect? Will the hards become the better tyre by the time the rain starts? So many questions, so little answers, and that's why we love racing. Polytron up 12 positions already from his starting position of the back of the grid. It's been a very nice race for the Haas driver so far. The back-to-back champion, here comes Ian. On his teammate, he's not going to be able to make a move realistically without the DRS. He is burning quite a lot of battery. He's going to try and think about it. Going to send the move on the outside. And the two Alpines go side by side through the first corner. Adas seems to have just about held on, but Aen's not done yet. He's going to try around the outside of turn 2 to take the lead away from his teammate. Becomes the inside for turn 3. They're still going wheel to wheel in towards turn 4 now. There's the tiniest bits of wheel banging. Aen goes sweeping around the outside to take the lead away from his teammate. And now can Polytron follow suit, or will he get stuck in a DRS train? They've got a 1.1 second advantage to Willow in 4th, who in turn has Spitfire Boy right up behind her with those medium tyres, which seem to have fired on so much quicker than the hards. Hards really seem to be struggling at this stage. Those people who have a medium and went onto them seem to be in a much better place right now than the hard tyre runners. Adas is going to also have a chance at fighting back against Aen. Polytrom's got a lot more battery than the two in front of him through not being in a battle on the previous lap. And here they all go for a second lap in a row. Is anyone going to be close enough for the move? I don't think so, not yet at least. Polytron still has a lot more battery to be spending. But his advantage over Adas has come down, with the Alpine in second place not using as much battery on that main straight. And now Polytron sits half a second behind the car who's half a second behind the race leader. And I think he is going to be stuck in the DRS train. I think he's just got to wait it out to the rain and maybe see if there's some chaos he can capitalise on. Toy down in P9, so far still struggling to make his way back through the field from that mistake early on. Oh, it's a 3-second time bounty for Polytron as he sits in P3 with the tyre advantage over Adas, a significant battery advantage over Aen, but a 3-second time bounty really is going to hurt his chances of fighting those two long term. And he'll get the DRS, but as soon as those medium tyres start going off, he's going to fall behind Willow. He's going to... Hey, it's not ideal for him. The two Alpines go side by side again. Adas with a lot more battery than Aen on this occasion. And he uses that to good effect with the DRS as well to build the inside in turn 2. Think he's got the move done. There's contact. Aen goes sliding off his rear wheel to rear wheel contact. Aen's got a little bit of damage as well. It's the flaws with the damage model in the game. Rear to rear contact sends Aen spinning round. Now what can Polytron do in P2? Does he have the battery to be able to stay with Adas in front of him, whose tyres by now are probably better than the mediums? The rage not come as soon as the medium drivers would have liked, is what I'm gathering. They were rapid in the first lap, right on the restart, but now they really do seem to be struggling. Aen's being a bit of a cork in the bottle for all of the cars behind, sitting there with his wing damage and worse than ideal tyres, opening up a nice 2-second gap between himself and Polytron. But Adas sets the fastest lap and is looking to run away for the second time in this race. It's a late move on the straight from Aen. It's damage for Willow, who does get past into turn 1, but goes deep, allowing Aen to go back through. As he gets the run again, and again he's going to try on the inside into turn 2 this time. The pair, both with damage, both fighting for that P3 on the road. As Willow goes off the track, it's a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. She gets the move done. Was she forced off by Aen? Did she gain an advantage from going off the circuit? Aen will argue she gained time and therefore the place from going wide. She'll argue she was pushed off. And I imagine we'll be seeing that one in the steward's room along with the incident on the main straight that gave Willow that bit of damage. It was late from Aen. It was dangerous from Aen. Oh no! Spitfire and Mystic come together! And it's another safety car It's the second of the race, as well as the virtual. Adas has passed the pit lane. He can't come in. Willow's going to pit to change the wing. Aon's going to pit to change the wing. Spitfire's going to pit to change the wing. And Toya, all of a sudden, could be looking at P3 on the road. Although he doesn't have tyres anymore. He's used them all. What tyres is Toya going to go on to? He's used all of his tyres. Like, he used the medium that he started. He's going on to Inters! They're going on to Inters! Oh, this is fun. This is really fun. They're going on to Inters. They're going to gain track position. The driver's currently on Inters. They need to nurse these tyres under the safety car. These tyres are going to be fried by the restart. This is going to be really interesting. Surely it's pitting on the last lap. Surely the better play is to pit on the final lap of the safety car. Like, it's going to be to pit. These guys on Inters should surely pit again at the end of the safety car. Once it actually starts raining. Because otherwise, these tyres are going to be horrid. They're going to be completely burnt out. It's not raining yet. These Inters are not going to be fun by the restart. Like, these tyres are very fragile. They get burnt out so quickly. This is really interesting. Because these guys will get the track position, but they're going to be so much slower because they've done 1 or 2, 3 laps under safety car, burning out these Inters. I don't know why they, honestly, if I'm in their position, I'm boxing this lap. Because I've committed at this point. I'm pitting for the Inters. I might as well lose the track position to actually have good Inters at the end of the race. Especially if it starts raining at the end. Like, whoever boxes last onto Inters under safety car is going to be in the best position because they get their tyres will be the least burnt out. Because that's the thing with the Inters. You can't just pit onto Inters where it's not raining. Oh, you can, because they've done it, but these tyres are not going to be good at the end. I can tell you that. The safety car's in this lap. It's not raining. It's still bone dry. And the safety car's in this lap. Toya and Aon have gambled. And I think it's fair to say they have lost. It's not raining. The safety car's in this lap. And there are 2 drivers out there on the intermediates. We've still got half the race to go. As Adas leads us away around the final corner. And how far out is this rain? We wait and see. When does the rain start falling? As Adas leads. Willow moves up into 4th place under braking, gets past R34. There's a bit of contact. I think that's Shazza colliding with R34 there as they go on the run down to turn 2. The pair of them side by side. R34 runs him a little bit wide. Right onto the curb. There's still more contact. They will go under braking. R34 just about keeps it himself in front. And these drivers are having to defend so hard as the rain is now falling. So it's 2 laps on a dry track that these Inters have done. Like 2.5, 3 laps on a dry track. Now the rain is here. it still slicks. It's completely slick weather right now. And the Inters are struggling. And they're going to be burnt out. They're going to be slow at the end. But they're going to be 20 seconds ahead. And will it even be 20 seconds? At this stage, it's only going to be 15. And the longer it stays before the rain properly falls, the less of an advantage it's going to be. It's now 14 that it's going to be when ADAS comes in. They're losing... Like, Toya is losing so much time. For what? He's going to get... Like, the advantage he'll have is getting smaller and smaller every second because the slick drivers are pulling away. And these tyres are going to be horribly burnt out by the time they get to pitting. You know, already the gap is 7 seconds to the leader. They took the gamble. It was worth taking the gamble, don't get me wrong. But it didn't work out. It hasn't worked out at all. And now, they are sitting on these tyres that have been driving in on a dry track for 2.5 to 3 laps. And they're still losing 2-3 seconds a lap. It's like 3.5 seconds, roughly, Toyo's lost in the last lap. Maybe even 4. It's not the right tyre to be on now. And it very much won't be the right tyre to be on at the end. He's losing so much time to the race leader that by the time they come into the pit lane, he won't even have that big of an offset. Or that big of an advantage. It'll be a huge tyre offset, a massive tyre difference, as going off there, I think that's Spitfire Boy, who's gone round at the final corner. As Willow goes past Perkins, up into 3rd place, the rain is undoubtedly getting heavier. But with the gap of 10 seconds, is it bad enough? Is the rain heavy enough that it's worth being on the Inters yet? I'm not sure. It's going straight off in the background is Clifty Clive at turn 1. 10.1 is the gap now. 10.2. The gap's still growing through the corners. Ooh, going right off. It's Toya. Completely unstable through turn 2. Or turn 3. Goes off. Claudio goes through. It's safe to say this gamble has not paid off for the Inters runners. Gap now 12.5 seconds. They're still losing so much time just from lapping out there. Polytromp's mediums will not be in a good state right now, but he's P2. Polytromp is in a very good position at this stage. Even though those tyres will be feeling horrible, he's got... I just cut off mid-sentence there, didn't I? Polytron and P2 will... You know, he's got the gap to Willow behind, even though it is coming down quite rapidly. You know, the gap is definitely coming down, because those tyres are not good. But once he gets onto the Inters, which he will do soon... You know, the rain isn't that heavy yet, but it's almost there. It'll be a lap or two, I imagine. I don't think it's quite yet. Let's see, the gap's 14.0. We'll see in a little while. It's as soon as Toya starts gaining. That's when it's going to be Inters time. But those Inters on Toya will be so burnt out already. This is a very interesting end to the race. We've got ahead of us. Polytromp's in! It's early. They're all following. They're all coming into the pit lane now. Is that a lap too early? Gap to ADAS was 4.5 seconds when they came in. Is ADAS going to respond? He must... I mean, he doesn't have to, actually. He can do whatever he wants. He's a long way clear. Here comes Claudio on Charlotte. Going to try the outside line. Isn't going to be close enough to make it work, but he's going to get the switch back. And on the exit, DRS still active at this stage, despite the rainfall. Claudio moves up into third place, or does he? Because Charlotte's been able to get enough straight line speed to hold him off, but she goes wide at turn number 2. And I think Claudio's got the move. No, he still doesn't. Charlotte with the superior exit keeps that third place. I don't quite know how she managed that one, but she keeps herself ahead. And with the rainfall, I still don't think it's that heavy. It's not raining all that hard at this stage. Toya has, on the last lap though, kept roughly equal to Adas. I think it might be time for the stop. I think now is the time, and I think Adas knows it. As he comes around the last couple of corners. Is he coming into the pit lane at the end of lap 22? No, he's going again. He's going again. It's not time for the stops just yet. Or at least the race leader doesn't think so. That will be an interesting one. Polytron has a close up to Spitfire Boy, who's the car in front of him. Sitting at about a 6-second gap. He's then got 8 seconds to Toya. Toya and Claudio. Now look, to be engaging in battle. It's going round is Charlotte at the final corner. On those old hards. Have they punctured? She's in the wall. I think that might have been a rear puncture. For sure, the safety car is deployed again. And the two that chose to stick it out on the old hard tyres are now in the perfect position. As there's confusion on the safety car between Ayan, Claudio and Toya, not knowing who's where in the queue. As now Ayan moves out the way. Adas will come into the pit lane using the safety car. With a very nice opportunity to come into the pit lane. And get off those hard tyres onto a lovely new set of the Inters. Will Toya and Ayan pit again? I think they should. I think these two should pit again. Because those tyres will be so burned out from the laps they did in the dry. In comes Adas, of course. R34 will follow suit. What will Claudio and the two behind him end up doing? Obviously, Claudio's going to come in. And they're doing the same. They're following. They are getting off those old Inters that they did so many laps in the dry on. And they're putting on a new set. Toya tried to pass Claudio on pit entry. So they end up running pretty much inside one another through the pits. Well, it's a change of wing for Claudio. It's a wing change as well. Polytron takes P2, ahead of R34, who comes out P4 behind Willow, but ahead of Chazza. So, not for the first time in this race. The race has been neutralised. Not for the first time. Adas is going to lead us away on the safety car restart. And I think this one's going to be fun. This one should be fun. So we're now in wet conditions. There's going to be no DRS. to the end of the race. It is most definitely wet at this stage. Who's on a dry setup and who's on a wet setup? That's another question. Hopefully the end of this race is going to be as fun as it could be. Because there's a lot of room for a very fun end to this race. And I'm excited. Toy's down in P6. He'll be wanting to work his way through. I don't know what his wet pace is like. We've not seen it, but I imagine it's probably rather strong. I am intrigued by what we could be having ahead of us. The safety car's in. At the end of this lap, and now the drivers scramble for tyre wear, or for tyre temperature. How will this race conclude? Polytromp set to take pursuit after ADAS once he gets going on this restart. Can the Haas driver keep with the Alpine? We haven't seen wet pace yet. Haven't seen it this season. The first proper wet running of the season. Goes. Once ADAS decides, and that's now. As he leads us away on the safety car restart, Polytromp stays relatively close to him. Willow's already under pressure from R34. He's going to try and make his way around the outside in turn one. She outbrakes herself. Makes contact with Polytromp as she goes through turn number one just about. Manages to keep them both going without too much otherwise occurring. Toy trying to make his way back through the field as quickly as he can. He's currently sitting behind Ayan. But ADAS leads. Polytromp still in pursuit. And they're all within the 1 second so far. But obviously no DRS in these conditions will be harder to stay close. Gertz and Claudio going side by side through turn number 5 as the McLaren maintains that P10 position. Spitfire Boy in close pursuit of the top 4 as well. Sitting at 4.5 tenths, in with an opportunity if anything goes south with those guys. We've also got Ayan right behind him, and Toya behind him. Toya's obviously going to want to get his way through this field as quickly as possible. The gap now out front is 1.2 seconds, 1.3, 1. I shouldn't try to keep a live gap, but the gap up front sitting just over a second. Willow falling back already to 1.5 seconds. R34, you'd imagine, will go for the move fairly shortly. So he burns that battery. Heading down into turn 1. Is he going to be close enough to send the lunge? He's not quite close enough to go for the move. And goes past Spitfire Boy into turn number 1. As the McLaren has to tuck in behind. Almost makes contact with the rear wheel of the Alpine. But N goes through into P5 and now is in pursuit of R34, who in turn is in pursuit of Willow. And there's Toya right behind them if anything goes wrong. The championship leader will obviously be looking to make up ground wherever possible as he encounters Spitfire Boy. He's rather slow on the racing line. He's going to think about trying to barge his way through. There's contact, and that's really quite a messy overtake attempt from Toya. As he does get past, but with an awful lot of contact involved in doing so, he went for the lunge. And it didn't really go very well. As he now sits 2 seconds behind AN as well, he's got front wing damage. There's harm for all parties, really. Don't think anyone benefited from that little encounter at turn 5. R34 has a full battery, as he's now in pursuit of Willow. Around the last corner they go. And Willow slow on the racing line. Here comes R34. He's going to try pull to the outside and move up into that 3rd place. He's braking late as he can. There goes N on the inside. Dive bombs the pair of them with a very well-controlled lunge to go up into P3. On the inside of them both, R34 constantly trying the outside line. It's not worked out so far. Maybe he's going to go with a different approach on the next occasion. But N moves up into P3, sitting 3.1 seconds behind Polytron in front of him. Can he close that gap down and get the benefit of Polytron's 3-second time penalty? And that's assuming we don't see any post-race penalties, which you just can't account for because there's too many possibilities, really. And R34 practically pushing Willow through these corners. He's so much faster. But he just can't find a way through. Is he going to send the lunge into the final couple of corners? He just about backs out of it in the end. Thought about the lunge into turn 12. Decided against it. AN is now closing in on Polytron. And Toya behind them is ready to get involved if something goes a little bit southwards. Here comes R34. And as you'd imagine this time, he's going to try and take the inside line after what happened the previous couple of... Goes! He dummies to the outside, then takes the inside, but again, he can't make the move. He just doesn't have enough under braking to be able to make that move stick. Chaz is retired in the pit lane. Is Toy going to think about the lunge into turn 2? He thinks better of it and stays tucked in behind the Williams, who just cannot find a way past the racing balls in front of him. R34 does not have a way through at this stage. Willow just braking later is able to hold the place. He's going to try on the exit of the S's even. He's got the run. I wasn't expecting anything through that section. It's a fair play to him. He found the opportunity and he went for it on the exit of turn number 9 and 10. Just to go round the outside there is a move I don't think I've ever seen. But then immediately after, he's locked up the rears and gone off the track at turn number 13. He's been stuck behind Willow for a couple of laps, finds the opportunity, takes the opportunity immediately with a very well placed move, and then he goes and spins to the next corner. This race never fails to produce. So now Toya is the next car behind Willow. And how is he going to approach things differently to R34? I don't know. There's such a train behind Willow at this stage. All the way down to Gellert's in 8th. They're all just in one big train, sitting behind the train conductor. of Willow out front in P4 with that 3-second time penalty, which unless she can get it removed, is going to drop her quite a way down the field. Here comes Toya. And is he able to break later than what R34 could do? He goes round the outside into turn 1, which is what R34 has tried on multiple occasions. Willow parks it on the apex, and there's just no way through for Toya unless he gets the run on the exit. There's contact. He's in the wall. Spitfire Boy goes through into P5. Toya and Willow coming together on the run into turn 2 as he tried to find his way past. And now Spitfire Boy is up into P5, which will become a net P4 once that 3 seconds applied. You can't assume it's going to be removed, but it might. What is going on in this race? Have Toya and R34 just made contact at 5? I think they might have done. Ains right on the back of Polydrome and looks set to take that P2. Unless he gets penalties. This race has been absolute carnage. Really fun, don't get me wrong. It's been great to watch. It's hard to know what's going on. And Air now within 1 second of Polydrome in front of him. Spitfire Boy comes in. Is he going for the slicks? It's drying up, but I don't think it's slick tyres just yet. You know, the rain stopped. It's not raining, but the track's deceptive. Is it time for slicks? Maybe. It's a double stack at McLaren. Spitfire Boy comes out of the pit lane, and we'll see what pace he can set. Are we going to see late pits? With only 3 laps to go, I think it's too late for a soft tyre to make sense. Especially in the position Spitfire Boy was. Yeah, it does look very wet still. Sorry, it doesn't look wet. It looks like it feels wet. The DRS is on. Maybe it is time for the slicks. But with only 3 laps to go, surely it's not worth making the pit stop. It's going off there. That's R34 at turn number 5, that is. At the exit of the hairpin. Spitfire Boy has to gain 20 seconds to Willow in 3 laps. I don't think it's going to pay out with how long this circuit is. You never know. But I just can't see it working. Because it's such a short lap. Surely you won't make up the full pit stop in just 3 laps. A now has the DRS. He's going to tuck in behind Polydrome. He's going to try and make the lunge into turn number 1. He sends it under braking. Late braking move. Moves him up into 2nd place with Polydrome's penalty. He would have been there anyway. It's a slide on the exit with the DRS, which comes on so early at the exit of 1. But he does maintain that place. And Ayan moves up into P2 proper. And that pretty much sealed his race. It's definitely not worth a pit stop for the slicks. Spitfire Boy has barely gained time at all in the lap he's been on them for. There's only another 2 to go. The inter to slick change is so much less than the slick to interchange. Because when you're on worn slicks in the rain, that's horrible to drive. But inters in the dry is tolerable. Yes, it's dried up. Yes, he's gaining time. But it's not nearly enough to warrant a pit stop with 3 laps to go. So it's going to end up being Spitfire Boy in P7 unless there's any drastic changes with post-race penalties or something crazy happening. Toya and Willow coming around the last couple of corners again. I imagine they're both saving for a final lap push. Although Toya now does get the DRS, and he's going to use all the battery that he's got to try and make the move on Willow. He's going to send it to the inside, gets the move done, gets himself ahead of the apex, and now with the second bit of the DRS, you'd imagine that move is completed. And finally, he works his way past, back up into P4. And that seems to be Willow's chance of defending. Now that the DRS is active, there's not very much that he can do. Since pitting, Spitfire Boy's gained 4 seconds, which you'd think is a lot, except there's 2 laps to go. And so he's just not going to gain nearly fast enough. Here comes Adash from the last corner with a 10-second lead now to start the final lap. Very, very comfortable out front. Never really been in doubt. He had to battle with Ayn a couple times on the safety car restarts, but beyond that, he never really has looked in doubt, has it? Polytromp does move back past into P2, Ayn with a late braking lunge. A bit of contact at the apex moves himself back in front. And he's held that position on the final lap. Ayn maintains P2, but he slides through turn 2. Does that allow Polytromp back past? On the run into turn 4, he seems to have got the better exit with a bit of battery as well. He switches to the inside. There's contact between the two of them as Ayn goes through turn 4. Maintains that place. And he gets that P2. And now Polytromp has a 3-second bounty. But could that be removed? Could Ayn receive post-race penalties? We don't know at this stage. All we do know is that Ayn's P2 on the road. But a position that's definitely not going to change is Adash 13 seconds out front. He comes round the final corner. And he's going to take a very comfortable and very well-deserved victory. He wins the Hungarian Grand Prix. Despite it drying up at the end, despite 3 full-core safety cars, he hangs on. Oh, he doesn't hang on, in fact. He wins very comfortably with a 13-second advantage at the end. And comes home P2. Polytromp, a very impressive P3, having started at the back. Toya with a great recovery drive, despite so much going against him in this one. He takes P4, Willow crosses the line P5, but loses it to R34 due to that 6-second time penalty. Spitfire Boy, having pitted for the slicks at the end, didn't work out for him. He comes home in P7. Claudio takes P8, Clifty Clive P9, and Gellert will be the final car to cross the line, rounding off the point scoring positions. And the finishers of this race coming home in P10 to conclude the Hungarian Grand Prix. It's not given cleanest driver again. Second time it's done that. Well, that is it for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Adash wins with pole and the fastest lap. He didn't quite lead every lap, but it's an impressive result nonetheless. Ayn P2, Polytromp 3rd from 15th, Toya 4th despite being last on more than one occasion. There's R34 5th, Willow in 6th, Spitfire Boy, Claudio, Clifty Clive and Gellert, the last of the finishers. Well, thank you for watching today's stream. Quite a chaotic one in the end, but very fun to watch. Not quite lost my voice. Might be a bit close by the end. But we'll see you next week, where we are racing. Where are we racing? We are racing in Suzuka, another track where it's difficult to overtake. Qualifying is key, and so is track position.